afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to PBA at Noon. I'm Paul Bendel, and I'm joined by my colleague, Sophie Caesar. Today, we will be talking with Eric Owens, President and CEO of E2Gold. It's a private gold company founded in 2020, aiming to go public in late 2020. E2Gold is committed to discovering the first 2 to 3 million ounces of gold with further upside growth potential through exceptional management and technical expertise. E2Gold's project is located in North Central Ontario. Welcome, Eric, and feel free to start whenever you are ready. We'll take questions following your presentation.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you very much for allowing me access here today. This is a very interesting story, compelling story, what we're trying to do here. Let me just get this up and running here, and then we'll get started. I want to welcome everybody that is out there. I am, as Paul said, the president and CEO of E2Gold. I'm the founder of the company. A little bit about E2Gold is that it's currently a private company. So in that regard, it's a bit of an unusual or an early stage investment opportunity for most people. But we have done a lot in a fairly short period of time. So just a little bit about the company itself. We are currently private. E2Gold was established earlier this year, and we acquired our current principal asset, the Hawkins project, in January, right after forming the company. A very long property package. So the very exciting story, early stage. We have come a long way in that short period of time, and we expect to go even further. The three salient points are that we are now heading down a path towards an IPO later in the year. We expect to see that happen towards the end of the year. The project we acquired is a gold exploration project, a very large one, south of Harte, Ontario, which we'll tell you a bit more about shortly. And again, it's been set up by myself, and we've hired as well an experienced group of board members in addition to help move this project along. Let me go back. So the value opportunity is
Eric?
For E2Gold is hosted in a number of areas here. The first aspect is the property package. It's a 60-kilometer long project, I should say, west of Timmins, Ontario, south of Harte, Ontario. The property package is got a starter resource, an open pit constrained inferred resource of 239,000 ounces of gold. That provides us with some meaty starting point to see this project forward.
Eric, sorry to interrupt. We can't
yes?
see your screen. We can't see the presentation. If you would mind sharing that with us, please.
I'm sorry about that.
No worries.
How about now?
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Yep, apologize.
No worries. You can go to view and
yep.
Yeah, right there. Perfect. Thank you so much.
There we go. So we're, as mentioned, we are, there's four salient features here that make this an exciting project and a good investment. Currently, the company is private. We intend to go public a little later this year, as I mentioned. The underlying asset is a very exciting asset. It's 60 kilometers long, a very long project with a starter resource of 239,000 ounces of gold in pit constrained resources. Now we are redoing that or upgrading or updating that 43-101 compliant resource as we speak, all in preparation for trying to go public a little later this year. But probably the most important thing and the most exciting thing is that there's been very little work done on this project on the broader property package, but even in the area where work has been done over the recent years, there's been very little cohesive work done over the past 3 or 4 decades. As you'll see later on, the resource that has been estimated is based on 1980s Falcon Bridge drilling. So the project is ripe for discovery, ripe for the use of new technologies and new geologic thought. A little bit about the upcoming IPO. One aspect that's of interest to the investor, of course, is that we first raised our first seed financing during the summertime. We completed about $580,000 worth of seed financing at 5 cents. Currently, we have 49 investors, a little over 27 million shares outstanding in that private company, in this private company. We are currently raising flow-through financing, a small flow-through financing of about up to a maximum of $500,000 at 15 cents. We have expressions of interest, warm expressions of interest right now for this, and we expect to complete this fairly quickly over the next week or so. We just started on that in the past few days, in fact. We anticipate an IPO financing of $3 to $4 million, between 20 and 25 cents. We are in advanced discussions, close to signing an engagement letter with a retail brokerage in Toronto to take us down that path and heading towards that effort. We are already, as I mentioned, updating the 43101 report, where our audit and financials are underway, and our lawyer is starting the preliminary prospectus, all of which requires, the prospectus, of course, requires a completed 43101 and completed audited financials. So these all, I expect to have these things ready in the next few weeks, so that the preliminary prospectus can be somewhere, we're heading towards somewhere in the middle of October, early October. We expect the post-IPO market cap to be 8 to 10 millions. After this seed financing, that is this flow-through financing, we expect that to be in the neighborhood of $4.5 to $5 million. So we're making progress in a fairly short period of time. We've come a fair length of ways, as well as we have had a lot of activity out in the field, which we'll talk about as well in a minute. A little bit about us, me, I'm the founder of the company. I have a lot of experience, more than 30 years experience in the minerals exploration industry throughout the Western Hemisphere. My last endeavor was Alexandria Minerals, which I helped bring about 3 million ounces of gold into the resource category through both discovery and acquisition. In addition to me, there's Ellie, my daughter, and VP Corporate Development. Ellie is a lawyer as well as a geologist by background and practice. She's very energetic and is a great addition to making this thing move forward in as quick a manner as it has. Eric Martin's our CFO, again, an experienced financial management guy, and we are happy to have Eric on board with that. In addition, we have a board membership that is quite experienced in the exploration industry. At the end of this program, there is a slide that delineates those 4 independent board members. I won't say much more about them at this point in time as we move on, but they all bring strong exploration experience to the table, as well as company management. This slide, page 7, is the core area. It's the central 15 kilometers of our 60-kilometer long property package. This is the area that hosts the McKinnon deposit, the 239,000 ounce, 1.5 gram average grade, open pittable current inferred resource. The yellow stars on this map show the existing prospects. All of this work was really put forward back in the 1930s. There was a bit of work done in subsequent years. And then in the 1980s, Falconbridge came in and completed like 79 drill holes, which really comprised the data for the McKinnon deposit itself, the resource, the inferred resource itself. So the yellow stars represent prospects. This represents a 15-kilometer long trend that has yet to see much exploration beyond the McKinnon deposit. So it's fairly wide open along strike and at depth, and meaningfully the resource itself has been calculated based upon drill holes down to about 150 meters. So there's a lot of upside potential in this deposit, and that is not even including the other 45 kilometers to the east and west of this particular map. So we have a lot of work to do. Right now, we have had exploration going on since early July, first with prospectors and excavator trenching and trench sampling, followed by the arrival of our first geological teams in early August. And we have currently 3 geological teams on site and expect more excavator work to show up shortly. So between now and the end of field season, I should say, which could be middle of October, another month and a half perhaps, we will have had a fair bit of new knowledge come in to this activity, to this project. A little bit more about the strengths of this project, its location, its infrastructure. Here's a more detailed map. Hurst is up along the red line to the north. That's the closest town with any supplies. It's a 2-hour drive from Hurst down to the Red Star, which locates the McKinnon deposit. We have lots of lumber companies, timber companies in the area, lots of roads as a result. There's easy road access. Our field crew stays in that black dot just north of the Red Star, and that's the little railroad siding of Oba. There's a little community there. We're renting 3 hunters' cabins at that community. That brings our field crew very easy access to the broader property package. So we have, and then there's of course 2 railroad lines that cross the property. So there's lots of access, easy access. It doesn't require a lot of expensive support or long distance camping to make this project happen and make things work there. Another good strong reason why the Hawkins project is good, I touched on it earlier. It has been relatively unexplored over the past 30 or 40 years. We have, as I say, a good starting point with the McKinnon deposit, with the 79 drill holes that Falconbridge has drilled 40 or so years ago. It's really stuck in the middle of a region, as you can see by the red star on the map, of some really well-known deposits, and that would include Hemlo way on the west. A little closer to us, it would be the Harte Gold Sugar Zone mine, the Island Gold mine to the south, Borden Gold mine. What's held in common by all those mines, like Harte Gold, Island Gold, Borden, and even Cote Lake a little bit further to the southeast, are that they are all relatively recent developments. Island Gold, of course, was an older mine that came back into play within the past decade, but Harte Gold, Borden, and Cote Lake are all more recent than that. They're all developments within the recent past decade, basically. And the Hawkins Gold project itself is been similarly overlooked. So it's really ripe for new discovery and new methods to try and find more of the gold. Again, a little closer look of the project, which is outlined in red on the eastern half of this project. What's of interest, of course, is the geology. We show the Harte Gold Sugar Zone mine way over on the left-hand side, or on the west side there. That's about 45 kilometers as the crow flies from there to our project. The western part of our project has been newly staked by us. The big bulge in flames there, outlined by the line. It's really focuses on the confluence of two major fault zones, which themselves have known gold targets on them. And we think that's a very good geological place to be. But more broadly, again, we have a lot of good potential to use new techniques because this project has just simply not been looked at. It's important to note that the reason for the naming of the McKinnon deposit is that Don McKinnon came in and staked the claims overlying the Falcon Bridge drilling. He staked them about a decade after Falcon Bridge was there in the mid-1990s, hence the name. And he thought they looked like a bit like the Hemlo deposit. And of course, he would be one of the people that would know because he was a part discoverer of the Hemlo. And this slide here just shows some examples of the drilling that Falcon Bridge did, as well as some of the rock, the mineralogy of the rock that hosts the McKinnon deposit is really simply a very similar style of mineralization and mineralogy to what Don McKinnon saw at Hemlo as well, and what we do see at Hemlo. So that's exciting for us. And as we know, the size of these deposits could be quite large. And we have a lot of hope for the activities, what we'll find there as a result. Back to what we are about at E2Gold here. This delineates what we've been doing since January when we founded the company. We've taken whatever money, even before we started raising money out of our pocket to fund some of the activities, including the first IP survey that has been done on this since Falcon Bridge did their IP survey. We have much more planned on the IP part of this stuff. May, we started digitizing all the data, and by June we were identifying crews, staked additional claims, and got the first prospecting crews down, on site in July, and the first geology teams out in August. So we've moved ahead fairly quickly. We think our next steps will be to try to keep this geology team going as long as we can until the snows fly, until we start our geophysics, all in the aim of leaning towards a wintertime drill program. Slide 13 here shows the different regions. Our focus is in the central black dashed square or rectangle around the McKinnon trend. Again, that part of that, together with the Goldfields target, is roughly about 15 kilometers of exploration activities. The goal is to focus on that this year with the starting of drilling, hopefully in the winter time after IPO time. And then next year we can start broadening the reconnaissance type work to both east and west, even though we're doing a wee bit of that even as we speak now to try and get our first set of handle on the activities there. Again, this is where we're trying to head. Suffice it to say that with the geological activities that are underway now, we plan on starting the line cutting a little later this month to get geophysical activities going in later October and November to help start our planning for drill program, which we expect to begin in the winter time. As part of our field activities. And to sum up, I just want to say that we have, as I mentioned, our IPO process underway. We expect that to be completed as early as December. We are fairly efficient. I have experience in completing IPO with Alexandria Minerals, with a preceding company. And so I think we're well organized to make that happen as long as markets comply. And we expect to begin drilling as soon after that as possible. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Eric. We appreciate that presentation. It was phenomenal. We have a couple of questions. I know some of them you did cover in the presentation, but if you wouldn't mind reiterating. What permitting is needed to get started?
So we have an existing exploration permit that's covering our current activities. that exploration permit expires later this month. The property, the broader property is well governed by an exploration plan, which is good until middle of next year. We have an application for our next exploration permit in, and that I expect to have in place in the next month or two. And that will allow us to do whatever we need to do from a drilling point of view in the winter.
Excellent. How do you upgrade a 43-101 without drilling?
Well, we decided, first of all, that we staked a whole bunch of new claims, and the last 43-101 report solely focused only on the claims that underlie the resource itself. It didn't include the broader other 35 kilometers worth of claims that we optioned along with the resource claims, nor did they include the claims that we staked in June. So we're incorporating those. But in fact, in addition to that, there was a company that did some drilling in 2017 on the project. They drilled on the eastern end of the, well, within the deposit, the McKinnon deposit, towards the eastern end, 8 or 10 holes. They didn't add much to the knowledge in our minds, but we're incorporating those holes into this resource as well. It won't there won't be any significant increase in resource. What they did was mostly twin some holes, so they got some similar results as the Falcon Bridge drilling, and then they drilled off to the north of a certain portion of the deposit and came up with not much information from those holes as well. So we're incorporating all that new information, basically.
Okay, thank you. How deep will you drill initially?
So our real focus, we're actually, of course, discovering new things now as our geological crews are active, coming up with some good ideas. This is, for those who are interested, this is a highly deformed, highly folded area, and it's a fairly complicated geology. It's a Hemlo style situation from a geological environment. So we're coming up, as we've exposed new outcrops and done some new trench sampling, we've come up with some new ideas. So I'm making a long answer out of a short question here, but we expect to be drilling likely along strike with the existing deposit. Those will likely be fairly shallow holes, less than 150 meters, I would expect. And in a vertical sense, we will probably, on average, be drilling 300-meter long holes in the diagonal, but our interest is shallow level testing in the near surface where we don't know much about the geology at this time. And we also expect some form of deep level drilling below the existing resource to try and trace zones that are trending, higher grade zones that are trending downward. And so those types of holes may be down to the somewhere between 500 and 700 foot, or sorry, 500 to 700 meter depth, just to try and get an idea, does this stuff carry on at depth? The other targets that we would test are off to the north or south of the zone. The zone is elongated in east-west direction. Again, the IP work that we did this past February did identify an anomaly to the north, and that sort of, we're trying to explain that anomaly, and we will be doing some exposing of outcrop via excavator in the next few weeks on that. But that would be similar. We would probably likely keep it shallow level in the upper 200 or 250 meters to test some of those new areas as well.
Okay, that's great. So here's another one. Is there any indigenous issues?
There are three different indigenous or native groups in the area, First Nations groups. We have two that are solidly and firmly in our relationships. We have good relationships with, actually we have good relationships with all three of them. It's just that the third one does not have any history of being involved there, and there's some question about how much how much they have to hang on to in the area. But we have good relationships with all of them. We maintain contact with them. The company that I optioned this property from earlier this year has maintained relationships with these three groups for the last number of years, and we hire them when we can to do field work. They were part of the prospecting group when we had the prospectors out, and they will be back out again in the next couple of weeks when they come back out to help us out again. So there's no negative issues at this stage of the game. They're all positive, and we intend to continue that.
Okay, well, that actually brings me to my next question. Are there any past royalties on the project?
Yes. So there is on the optioned claims, of course, the unstaked claims, which are the claims located to the west of the option claims. There's no royalties. We've staked those. The optioned claims are subject to a 2% NSR on all the option claims except those claims that underlie the McKinnon deposit. The McKinnon deposit itself is the claims underlying the McKinnon deposit, or the Inferred Resource, are owned by the McKinnon estate, and those claims are subject to a 3.5% NSR, but that 3.5% can be taken down to 1.5% through a $750,000 payment. So we can get that down to 1.5% on that.
Oh, is that something that you're planning in the future to pay that down?
Yeah, I'm not, is not an issue. We're not in any hurry to do that. That's set in stone, basically. It can be done anytime that it needs to be done.
Okay. Paul, I see you've joined us. Do you have any questions for Eric?
Yeah, Eric, I got some. Can you just touch on, like you just mentioned, it's an option agreement on part of your properties?
Yes.
And what are the terms of the option agreement, like earn in or whatever?
Yes. So the earn in, we earn in over 5 years. We can earn 100%. We earn nothing until we complete the terms, and the annual terms are $200,000 cash payments, $200,000 worth of share payments, plus $500,000 worth of work expenditures every year. So once we do that, we earn 100%. So we could do all of that at once if we want to do that.
Okay.
And earn our 100%.
And the rest of the properties are yours outright?
The rest of them are, yeah, well, the ones we staked are ours outright. That's correct.
Okay. Now, is this going to be open pit, underground, or both eventually?
I would suspect there's going to be some combination of both. I think that the existing resource is a good starting point for an exploration project. It gives us a really strong, meaty focal point. I think that if we recall the Hemlo discovery days when it took a while of drilling a lot of holes and smoke, I think we're still at that stage, although we're a little bit ahead of the game on that in that stage. Our real goal ultimately will be to try and see how the higher grade portions of this deposit hang together. We do have higher grade portions surrounded by lower grade envelopes around this gold. You know, we might get 10 meters over 3 or 4, 10 grams over 3 or 4 meters surrounded by a half a gram over another 15 or 20 meters. So that'll all work as an open pitable target in the upper 200 meters. But if we want to see this get a lot bigger at depth, we're going to have to start seeing how that 10 plus 8 to 10 gram material hangs together
Okay,
below that level.
which brings me to my next question. Are you an explorer or a miner?
Well, we're explorers. Very
Okay,
definitely.
so you want to size this up and then like somebody have a serious look at it.
Yeah, our goal would be to try and take this to a 2 to 3 million ounce size inferred, or not inferred necessarily, 2 to 3 million ounce deposit.
Okay.
Compliant deposit with significant upside potential, and that's where we would hope to see our exit strategy.
Okay. What does E2 stand for? I have an idea.
Multiple. There's Ellie and me, of course. Ellie and I.
That's the one I thought, but is that what it is?
The founders, and then it's our second time around at setting up a company and running it as well. So it's a kind of a good thing, and it's great. It's great to be doing this.
And the reason for your first drill program, is that to enhance your 43-101, or just to go where you had historical data and you know that you want to test those areas?
I think probably more the latter than the former. I think if we have successful in the latter, that is to go start to expand on what we know a bit, sort of step out gingerly with what we know and see if we can make this bigger. Because if we can't make it bigger, then we might as well find somewhere else to go. No, and so our goal the first year or two of this activity is really to focus on whether this deposit can be bigger. And I say it that way because we also have, of course, the Harte gold mine, the Sugar Zone mine on the southwest edge of the same greenstone belt that we're in, on the other side of this big granitic batholith. And the western claims that we staked is really in an environment similar to that deposit. And that deposit is not quite the same as the Hemlo style mineralization that we see at McKinnon. So we have some other thinking and targets to chase as well as just what we see at McKinnon. These are things that'll start resolving themselves over the next 12 months, I suspect, a little bit more.
Anyway, Eric, that's perfect. I mean, it's a great story, especially with the resurgence of gold. I mean, there's a lot of properties out there. You're in a great area. You're going to be going public within a couple of months, which enables everybody that's listening in. And we'll be following you for the next 4 months, putting out all your press releases. We'll send out your term sheet, what your finances are going through now. So keep us posted on how your listing is going with the IPO, and then we can keep our investors updated.
Great. Well, thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Sophie. And thank you, everybody that's out there listening here. I appreciate the ability to make a story here.
All right. Thanks so much, Eric. Take care, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.